Welcome everybody to another edition of the CETO Aftershow with Jordan, my friend Jordan Todd from Port St. Joe, where we went offshore and inshore to see exactly what he has to offer over here in his fishery. Now normally we have somebody on the show that isn't from the area, and there's two, me and the co-host that goes to the area to try to diagnose it and figure it out and break it down for those at home that might have that same plan in the future. Visiting somewhere. So we try to kind of help people take a bunch of water and shrink it and try to diagnose it to where they can bring their own boat and have fun with their family or friends or whatever it may have be, or fish a tournament or something of that nature. This episode was just a little bit different. The reason why it was different was because me and Jordan share a similar interest in the conservational side of things. So that's what landed us up here together. And Jordan, it was great to see your fishery for the first time ever. I've never been here personally. So it was kind of a little more relaxing than normal with an episode of Beyond the Surface TV because you have the experience from growing up here. So that was a little easier than some of the other episodes of showing up with someone that has never been there, along with myself that had never been there. That gets a little nerve-wracking. Yeah. But you try to just stop. That's what we do at Beyond the Surface TV. We try to just stop and relax and just go and just pick the area apart and try to learn something along the way to help teach somebody else, you know, what they can do in their home waters. It don't necessarily have to be the same place we're at. It could be another location, but we just try to give them some direction. Okay. So but mine and your deal was a little different because we had some things we wanted to discuss conservational pieces wise that we share interest in. But you know, we took the Dek Kat, and I think we got 96 feet of water once, if I remember correctly. I think that might have been the deepest spot we went with the Dek Kat. I mean, let's be honest, the Dek Kat's not supposed to be in 96 foot of water, but the weather was really good for us. The wind laid right down. It was hot.
It was hot.
But so was the red snapper bite. And red snapper season's up here in a couple of days. This is the last weekend for the season on the West Coast. It was cool to get the boat out there and just know that there's a bunch of water underneath it. The Dek Kat was built to be designed for not much water underneath it. So it was kind of cool to have it out there knowing there's a ton of water underneath there. Tell me what your thoughts was, you know, going out there with the boat and just showing me, you know, how you do it here and how other folks can do it at home if they haven't never red snapper fished.
It was definitely a different feel being on a deck boat out there. You know, I didn't think I'd be as stable as it really was. But we kind of highlighted, man, when you get the right weather, when it's really pretty and calm, you can take just about anything offshore. And especially here, our area, we've got some really good stuff close enough that it's, you know, you can run out there in a few minutes and be relatively deep and catch, you know, some keeper snapper and some other species. You don't have to run 40, 50 miles out to do that.
Yeah. I know we talked about, you know, and just for the folks at home or listening or watching, there's various ways, even though it's bottom fishing per se, there's other ways you can catch red snapper. You know, there is if you have some decent spots and you've done a little bit of homework and you've got yourself in the right area, let's say that, there's various ways, as long as you have some chum or some live bait to chum with.
Yeah.
We was able to, we didn't end up catching any with the top water, but we did get reactions. They seem to be late reactions, maybe testing the theory reactions, if you will, from the red snapper. We didn't never catch them with the top water, but we did try. We did catch them with paddle baits, jigs. We did catch them with some suspending stuff. I think he was throwing a gotcha
plug.
Yep, he was throwing one of them at one time. I mean, we caught them various ways. Once we got them, we got their interest. So, you know, just because we was in 90-something foot of water didn't mean we necessarily had to fight them 90-something feet.
Yeah.
Here's the reason why we chose that. Again, we got a little bit of a conservationist mind on us after years of watching the changes and stuff. Even though there's a ton of red snapper out there, everybody talks about that, it still don't feel right to see sharks eat a perfectly good 20-pounder, 15-pounder. No. So me and you kind of took a different approach. You know, bring him to the top, pick one out, and catch him where he's 20 feet under the surface. There's no sharks on the top 20 feet. They're down farther.
Yep. And as soon as the sharks do come up and start biting them, just leave the spot.
Yeah.
Once you fire them up, you're never going to get them past them. So if you try to sit there and kill 15 to keep one, you're not doing any good. As soon as the sharks are fired up and biting them off, just move to a different spot. Come back to that spot maybe an hour later or so, and maybe they've settled down.
Which we had to do that twice. We didn't ever repeat and come back to anything because you had a couple of different areas, a couple of different spots in the same area. So we would just shift. As soon as we would lose one, we didn't test the theory that we was going to lose the second because we already knew we was going to.
There's no reason more have to die for you to try to get one up.
Yeah, yep. So that's what we did. So that's just a food for thought for anyone that's out there. You know, you don't have to pull that red snapper from the very bottom or even the second half of the water column, the lower half. You know what I mean? Because that's where that danger zone of them getting eaten. Just food for thought. You know, bouncing in from out there, we came in and we had various things we could have done, but we wanted to get kind of a point across to folks about this triple tail. There's a thing going on with the triple tail. There's a huge fashion statement, if you will, that's gone on with the triple tail ever since they've kind of made their presence down the coast, up and down the coast. Hopefully we got through to some folks. Hopefully we kind of highlighted some of the thought process of the future of the triple tail.
Yeah. If we can save one or two, then we're doing our job for the future.
Yeah.
It's key to, you don't have to kill them all.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things I want to say about the show, about our conversation pieces, about who we are. Yeah. I want to say that we're not saying, hey, we're perfect and we don't never keep a fish.
Yeah.
We're not saying that. What we're saying is the fishing's fun. I mean, it's a great pastime, and yes, we have some fish. Yes, we have some triple tail, but we have seen a decline for sure, 100%.
Yes.
And it's come from the new craze of wanting to catch triple tail and eat them. Okay, so we both share that. I mean, it's good. It is
very good. I grew up eating it. I still eat it today. It's but it's managed for myself. Self-regulated, put it that way, is a better term.
There you go. That's where I was headed.
Just enough to have one meal, a fresh meal, the rest go back.
And I know it's tough. It is tough. So here's the kicker. It's tough to go out there and have that day to where they're just, because sometimes they short strike. We saw plenty of that.
Golly.
We saw plenty of short striking from them. We had some chances to catch some that were in that favorable food range, if you will, to where you're going to go and you're going to catch some of the smaller slots that aren't at that big breeder status.
Yeah.
We missed them. Now what did we do? Lo and behold, the one that took over and really showed out to be the catch of the day was a pretty good, I would say, really close to breeder.
Yeah.
I would say a fair statement. She was knocking on the door of being that breeder mama triple tail. We put her back. We put her back. We was careful with her. We put her back. They're pretty durable. But that's the biggest point I think I would like to make going forward is same thing we said in the show, we say in the after show. You go out there and you have one of those days and then you catch a 26-incher and that's the only one you boated that day. We just ask that you stop and think about it for a minute.
Just think for 2 seconds.
And just go, you know what? I'll just get a fish fillet sandwich from McDonald's on the way home today and we're going to put this girl back. We call it brownie points in Mother Nature's world with the
karma.
fishing. Good karma. Yep. So we caught them throwing jig heads to floaters. We didn't really spend a whole lot of time spot checking per se, if you will. You had a couple of little generalized areas where they were pushing and kind of floating in the current. We had a full moon, so we had a lot of moving water.
A lot today, yeah.
A lot of moving water, and that was dragging them fish through certain areas, and they would just kind of pop up, and you didn't have long. You didn't have long.
You had about one shot.
That's it. Yeah, it was very quick. You had to be Johnny on the spot with the cast, and if you missed it, you probably didn't get a second shot at it. But that was a trend that we seen that worked. So there's a misconstrued, that might not be the right word, but there's a wrong thought process. Let's use an easier country word, if you will. You don't have to fish on the clam leases. You don't have to fish on the oyster leases and things of that nature. I see it at home bad. I see it bad, real bad at home.
It's bad here.
You don't have to run up and down that stuff. The biggest problem was a lot of these folks don't understand what's on the bottom in that lease. They just think it's just poles and its structure and ain't nothing connected to nothing. They don't realize there's all kinds of stuff under there that you can be tearing up somebody's livelihood over a triple tail. It's just silly. So my suggestion, put a little bit more effort and time into what else they might be doing, what other areas might hold them, and let's leave those livelihood spots alone, like the clam leases and the oyster leases and things of that nature. And I'm sure you'll be successful. Yes, it might be a little harder. It might be something the fisherman has to spend more time to learn, but I think it's a better way to do it.
Yeah. Just slow down a little bit.
Is there anything that you, we did see some tarpon too. You know, we got to look a few shots at some tarpon. We weren't fishing for tarpon, but we had a few shots at them, and that was fun to put a few of those in the air. They were short-lived, and we was a little undergunned.
Yeah, a little undergunned.
It wasn't the plan.
It's hard not to throw something at them when you see them.
Is there anything that you would like to add towards the day that is important to you? Again, this day, this episode, this location happened based off of our conversation about conservation. And so is there anything you'd like to add for anybody at home that's important to you and for them to think about, to take away from the show?
Not really. You kind of hit it, you know, on the head there with the conservation of throwing the big ones back, especially the big ones. I mean, people who know triple tail know when you catch a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
25 inches or bigger. That is 100% a breeding female.
Yeah.
Needs to go back. The only thing I would add is if you're going to an area where you know there's triple tail and you've never been there, well, you know, there's guys working for trying to earn a living and putting clients on those fish. And if you're, you know, a lot of these guys now try to race to hit certain structure in certain areas and stuff. They know if they get there first and beat the guides and stuff that they're going to catch more. Well, that's good and all, and yeah, you probably will.
Yeah.
But there's guys in a lot of these areas that are working and spend every day working their tails off, you know, and rely on these certain things to make a living and to get their clients, you know, on fish. So just be respectful, courteous. You know, you may not know someone's a guide, but if you see a boat going to an area, don't race them to it just to beat them there. You know, just there's plenty of stuff out there. Slow down.
There's a lot of water out there.
A lot of water, a lot of things. Just slow down, and you may find something else that you would have missed. You know, running full bore.
Yeah, that's true.
Just be courteous of not only the fish. The fish are number one, but be courteous of other anglers and other boaters and people out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a simple walk of life that a lot of people are throwing out the door these days as fishing has become very popular.
Yes.
And Instagram stories and posts and stuff have become a thing. I think a lot of folks have thrown the etiquette out the window a lot of times.
They leave it at the county lines.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Well, everybody, I appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode of Ceto After Show. Again, we just hope we was able to teach you a little bit of something you can take into your area back at home and utilize in your home waters. That's really the basis of the show. So we appreciate you tuning in. Jordan, I appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, man. Thank you.